Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we are at property address 22330 Southwest Mandan Drive here in Tualatin. We're located to the left of the front doorway. It's as you stand in the street facing the front of the house. That's how I describe everything. There's your front doorway. It sits directly in front of the second foundation vent to the left of the door. Not that you're going to lose track of this one. This cleanout sticks way out of the ground. A lot of cleanouts don't. It's a bigger deal to have a landmark. Anyhow, we're checking the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We are zeroed out there at the bottom of the cleanout. Off we go. A little bit of grease buildup there. My camera's scraping loose. A lot of times it's exaggerated looking when you first drop in as the camera really scrapes the pipe bottom good, but we'll take a look at that stuff on the way out. A little bit of a belly we just went through, but it looks like just that, a little belly. Another one here. Yet again, another pretty minor spot. I'm running a bathtub right now with quite a bit of water, which can exaggerate, I mean, a quarter inch of water into what looks like an inch, 2 inches sometimes, depending on how much water volume's going down line. So these we will assess once the line's drained out at the end. We'll get a more accurate portrayal of how much water we're working with. We're getting into some more significant stuff here though. All right, swapping over now to 3034 PVC. At the very least, I would recommend this line be jetted. There's enough standing water in the line there. It's almost one continuous belly, just about from the clean out to about 40-something feet there. I've been doing this 13 years. I've cambered almost 25,000 sewer lines. I have seen thousands and thousands of bellies. Most bellies don't concern me a whole lot. Like for instance, this right here, getting standing water when you're 70 feet out like this, in a plastic sewer line anyway, there's almost no chance on God's green earth you could ever get a blockage and a backup out of something like that from that distance away without flushing nothing but paper towels and pairs of socks down the toilet. When you've got an extended length of pipe though, you know, 40 feet or something like that, like you've got here with standing water, even when it's relatively minor, you know, what I start to consider in the more significant realm of standing water, or where I start to generally consider repairs, is once a belly is at least 5 feet long and it's holding an inch of water at minimum, that's static with no water running at all. Even at that point, a 5-foot belly with an inch of water in a plastic sewer line, by and large, is not going to cause problems unless the homeowner is abusing the sewer line. And I usually only recommend those ones be corrected when they're very close proximity to the house. Once you start to get a ways out, like that belly we went through there that was pretty minor, around 70 feet, if you were to even develop a blockage there, theoretically, you're having to fill up 70 feet just to get back to the foundation wall and probably another 10 or 15 feet at least of interior pipe to get to your first fixture. The amount of head pressure and water weight that would be sitting on that blockage at that point in time would be extreme. There's just about no toilet paper blockage out there that could withstand that kind of head pressure. Now, as it relates to improper items, paper towels, wipes, things like that, stuff that does not disintegrate on its own, that's where bellies become extremely problematic, and they can withstand that much water backing up behind them. But those are improper items that should not go down your line. So anyway, we'll talk more about that here in a second when we start reeling back in near the first half of the sewer line. We're going to go locate. It looks like the line terminates right into the manhole out in the street. We're going to just go verify that real quick here while the pipe's draining off. All right, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southwest Mandan. It terminates, there's a manhole that sits straight out from the driveway. You've actually got two manholes relatively straight out from the driveway. It's the one that's furthest out from the driveway, and it only has 2 vent holes in the top of it. The other manhole has about 15 or 20. That's the difference between a sewer manhole and a storm manhole. Storm will have a lot of vent holes, sewer will not. So it's not venting tons of sewer gas into the road, making the whole neighborhood all stinky and whatnot. A little bit of standing water here towards the end of the line. And in Tualatin, if my memory still serves, last I checked, the city out here does accept responsibility for the sewer line. I believe it's from the right-of-way out to the main. line is, there's no more water moving to the clean out here. So anyway, a little bit of standing water there towards the end of the line, but that's city territory, and even if, regardless of whose responsibility that is a long ways away from repair worthy. Not a significant belly to begin with, and it's a long ways away from the house. You would have to be flushing nothing but wipes and paper towels down this thing on a regular basis to ever get that much standing water like that to actually cause a problem or contribute to one. Yeah, for whatever reason, whoever installed this just unfortunately did not do a great job compacting the soil. The pipe's all still intact, pipe's in good shape, but it just settled in multiple places throughout. These bellies are about every 5-10 feet depending on where you're at in the line. That stringy stuff in the flow line down there on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, that is just human hair there. That's not a root. There's a little bit of gapping at that joint, or it's just slightly out of whack, and you know, hair going over something like that's going to get caught on it. Yeah, another little bit kind of wonky joint. I'm not sure who did the install on this thing, but I need to learn how to compact the ground. Anyway, all the PVC pipe there is flowing just fine. Minor standing water in a few places, but nothing significant. Here's where we get into the more significant stuff when we come back into the ABS pipe. And so this belly dissipates off here at about 40 feet right at the transition. I've got to push past the turn a little bit to get the camera head straightened out, or my locate will come in funny. So just bear in mind, this marking might be off by 6 inches. I'll try to adjust for it. All right, we might have a tricky one on our hands here. So right now, so the line as it makes its way out to the street, again, it comes out of the house to the left of the front door. It veers underneath the entire width of the driveway and pops out the right side. It just, I mean, probably 6 to 8 inches or so outside the right side edge of the driveway is where the line turns, where we're at now, to straighten out and shoot off toward the road. So a bit of the standing water is going to be under concrete. The concerning thing is right here, we're only at 2 feet deep. That is incredibly shallow. Your average sewer line exits a home at about that depth, let alone being 40 feet out. So you have extraordinarily tight tolerances to work with here. The concerning things when you've got depth like that, your average sewer installer that knows what they're doing is probably going to tell you there is a chance that if you were to correct this belly right now and just try to correct the dimensions of the belly specifically, you may not actually correct it or fully correct it at all. Sometimes when you're working with depths this tight, sometimes you're talking redoing far more than just the bellied area itself. So when you get scenarios like this where I hate to see someone spend a bunch of money to barely correct things, you know, and as we're coming back here thus far, the standing water I'm seeing is actually quite minimal. So far, you've got close to 1 inch of water, or around 1 inch of water at the very end of the ABS, around 40 feet out. But once you pull back from that turned area there, very quickly it drops off to about 1/4 or 1/16 of an inch or 1/4 inch of water. What we're in right now is not even that much. So that drained out much nicer than I thought it was going to. And it's entirely possible my camera scraped some debris off the bottom of the pipe when we first dropped in, and we were pushing debris in front of the camera that was kind of artificially damming things up. That drained out much nicer than I thought it was going to. So that, in my opinion, is nowhere near significant enough to warrant ripping the entire driveway out to redo that. The big thing here is treating the line nicely. Most of your standing water in this line, although there are standing water areas throughout it, the vast majority, overwhelming majority, is very minor. It's at 1/4 inch or less. I am going to recommend cleaning. There is not an outrageous amount of grease buildup in the line, but it is throughout the line. There's enough in here. I think it's a decent compromise. You know, hand a clean slate over to the new homeowners that doesn't have, you know, 1/4 inch thick grease layer in it. Because that standing water will tend to promote buildup, especially if you're not being careful. Cooking oil, grease, fats in general are one of those items that really likes to hang up in standing water, but you can see how it builds up even in areas with no standing water. We just went backwards under the house here. This is where the line necks down to a 2-inch sink drain. That's as far as we're going to go there. So you've got about a 1/4 inch of grease buildup throughout the vast majority of the line. I would like to see that cleaned out, both interior and exterior, to improve flow and mitigate the potential for blockages. You can see how sticky that junk is. A lot of what you're looking at there is grease with toilet paper stuck to it. It causes items to slow down. Stuff can't move through the line as quickly, and when it does stop and slow down, it gets stuck to the grease. And the toilet paper products become impregnated with grease, and they become semi-waterproof, and they don't disintegrate properly. The other thing that it does is if you have kiddos in the house that are wadding up their toilet paper like kids do, toilet paper, balled up toilet paper blockages, very frequently, they will block, but they often will break loose after water builds up behind them, enough head pressure that it pushes them through and or disintegrates them. That same toilet paper blockage, let's say for instance, breaks loose after 5 feet of pipe fill up behind it, and you don't even realize it happened. The grease acts like glue, and it can cause that blockage to withstand significantly more head pressure building it behind it. So, you know, where a rinky-dink little blockage that busts loose after 5 feet of pipe fills up can now withstand 20 or 30 feet, and it's more likely something, you know, little innocuous toilet paper blockage turns into a full-on sewer event. So anyway, I would recommend it be cleaned and rescoped to show the work. Beyond that, the standing water is not significant enough, in my opinion, to warrant repairs, and especially so when you consider the expense and the undertaking here of trenching the entire width of the driveway. It's not just that, but also prior to it, it's far too much work and money for the benefit you would gain from it. That's my 2 cents on that. Treat the line nicely. Don't put grease, fats, and oils down it. That's the main culprit that will build up in any sewer line, but especially when there's standing water. And then you want to keep things like paper towels, wipes, tampons, flushable wipes I include in the improper category. Don't use them, especially with bellies in the line, even when they're minor. They are a huge problem on properly graded sewer lines, let alone ones with standing water in them. Keep it to folded toilet paper, and that will do a great deal to mitigate buildup. It would be very unlikely for standing water like this to ever cause any kind of blockage or backup unless the homeowner was really helping things along. So all the pipe we scoped here all appears to be intact and in good condition, albeit some has settled. No pipe in here looks busted or broken or anything of the sort. I would just get it cleaned out and call it a day here. I have a feeling in order to correct what you have here, not that I would really recommend it now seeing how much water is left over after it's drained out, you would probably be redoing most of the sewer line to actually chase the grade down well enough to get all the standing water out. It just doesn't make sense for what you're working with here. Anyhow, sewer line is functioning at this time. You'll have improved flow and functionality and have a mitigated blockage risk of the grease after cleaning is performed. Just make sure you tell the drain cleaners to run the jet backwards too, so they clean the inside and out.